Hi, everyone. Welcome to ACC Senior Services. So before we start our program, we did want to bring your attention to some of our upcoming programs that are coming up here. So I hope you guys were able to tune into our great deboning a chicken presentation, but there is one really exciting project coming up called the ACC History Project, Episode 5, and it's about the story of the Asian Community Nursing Home, and that will be coming up on Monday, November 22nd at 2 p.m. But definitely take a look at our website, accsv.org, for all of the different classes and presentations coming up. I also wanted to take a moment to thank our great sponsors. We have Bruce Yoshida from Baird, Dr. Leland Lee, and Sierra Sacramento Valley Medical Society Alliance. We couldn't do it without you guys. And if you are interested in becoming a sponsor for our great programs and classes we have here, please contact Jerry Shikuma, who is our Home and Community-Based Program Administrator. So now, I would like to introduce our Joong Master, Lana Fong Chong. She comes from a large family that many of you probably know already in the community, and many are also terrific cooks themselves. So her father, Edward Chong, actually invented the Joong box in the late 1970s, which she'll be using today here for you. Lana and her family have a vast volunteer history here. She herself has volunteered for ACC, of course, SASF, and the Chinese Community Church, along with Golden State Museum and Mandarins. And Carol and Debbie are also longtime RIDES volunteers. So we're so happy to have Lana here with us today. So please enjoy this presentation. And without further ado, I'd like to welcome Lana.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm thrilled, happy to be here. Just one note, Danny. The box was actually invented by my beloved father-in-law. We call him Ye Ye. And that's Cantonese for the paternal grandpa. My husband's father, Edward, was a wonderful woodworker, a devoted grandpa, a loving, loving father-in-law to me. As one of 7 girls in a large, rambunctious family, I can't even imagine what it was for my mom to make Joong freeform. Holding these slippery leaves, trying to fill it with runaway rice, and having the meat and everything fall out. So as a 7th daughter, we have many siblings who also participate in the Chinese Community Church Joong project that's been going on for over, I think, 70 years. The box came into the genesis of the Joong making era about 1980. My father-in-law came to watch us wrap Joong. Sadly for me, a bad event. But anyway, he realized that there was a way that he could actually have the leaves slippery, washed, placed in a box strategically. So many of the original wrappers, including my sister Christine, was one of the first Joong masters who developed the laying of the leaves in this box. So I want to give her credit, and Chris is here today. In its heyday, we created 7,000 Joong when we rented the Portuguese Hall. And we pre-sold 7,000 Joong, which helped jumpstart the creation of the Chinese Community Church Gymnasium. For that, we are very, very proud. Now, my auntie, Nancy Jianggu, which is senior auntie, also said to correct my voice and to correct my saying. We don't make Joong, we bao Joong, we wrap Joong. So it's my pleasure to reflect on my being a bicultural and biliterate Chinese American girl and lady to actually use the right terms. I'm going to go ahead and do a quick wrap of the Joong. And as a professional trainer and also as a professional learner, I've always liked to see the whole process. I'm talking about a whole cookie learning mentality. So I'm going to do a quick wrap on the Joong. I'm going to mention quickly my ingredients. Then I'm going to stop and speak to the steps, talk about brining eggs, making up the right combination of rice, and the creation of what I call the perfect pointed Joong. These are the Joong that we sell at the Chinese Community Church every May. But for COVID, what's happened, we haven't been able to have and gather together a lot of our volunteers and our church members to make our Joong. So for this reason, I think it's a great time for us to share, pass along our legacy, and also show you exactly what we are doing. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is to honor my father-in-law, Ye, and show you how to use the Joong box. The Joong box is used what we call horizontally, and what that means is when we've taught, I've noticed that people want to look at the box and use it differently. We use the box horizontally, meaning that we have the box facing us like this. Then we place the leaves strategically to make the fine points. We have rice that's made up, and I'm probably going to go ahead with what I wanted to talk about with this rice. I personally prefer the best rice makes the best quality Joong, and quota makes the best rice. We also put in black-eyed peas, and of late I've been encouraged by a friend to use mung beans. For this presentation I won't have them. I'm just going to have the sweet rice with the black-eyed peas. Black-eyed peas emit and they're gaseous. I don't know if you know this, but I did soak the beans to relieve some of the gaseousness, so we won't have a lot of that. But if you decide to marry your black-eyed peas into your Joong rice, you must use it, and you should use it within a couple of days or a day. Otherwise, refrigerate it. Otherwise, the gas from the black-eyed peas could spoil your rice. I'm going to salt it lightly, and that creates our rice. The leaves are real quickly, I'm just going to say, the leaves are many-sized, gigantic bamboo leaves. They can be big and wide, short and narrow. And if they're big, what you may want to do is to conserve, and we Chinese are Han, you might want to cut up the leaves to make it smaller for the last step of the wrapping process, which is the closing leaf. So I have sorted leaves, large and small, and half cuts. But I'm going to go through the wrap real quickly. I have my towel, my box. We want to brand the CCC. The Chinese Community Church actually owns this box by its brand. My father-in-law gave it to our church to use. I know there are many other people who have made it up, and I appreciate them, but I want to remember my father-in-law and his creation of the box on behalf of our church. I'm looking at my apron, which is a fabulous apron made by my auntie Chenggu, and she used the rice bags that are used in fabric back then and created a lovely, lovely remembrance. I put my string with a good pull so that I can have ready access. I'm going to take a leaf. I'm going to do a single fold. You fold the leaf and you create almost like a little cup which is just like this, has a little bit of a curve to it. You place it right in the box. You take another leaf and you do the same fold in half, push back, creating another concave fold. And you have one side here, one side opposing. Then you grab two leaves, which I have sorted into thinner leaves, and I'll grab two of them, placing it parallel, using the very first two leaves as kind of a structural hold. Then I'll immediately place some rice, and when you come to the church, you'll hear tap, tap, tap. We are settling the rice down to the point. This is how you check to make sure you have no gaps in your Joong wrapping. We tap, 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 and then we go for the gold. We go for the golden yolk, and the eggs I'll speak to momentarily. What we have are yolks that were brined. They're beautiful gold eggs, yolks. So I'm going to take one quickly and put it at the bottom of the point. I'll grab 2 pieces of meat. This is the recipe that we use at the church. I'm going to be more generous today and put a 3rd piece of lapchang. And we settle this down. Tap, tap, tap again. We take our rice, fill it to the top. And what we want to do is when we use the box to measure, we fill the rice in the center of the cavity and we tap it. And tapping it means that the rice will settle into the ends of the box. It'll settle down to the corners. So then we'll take that last piece we call the cover, and I'm clipping it for a reason. I'm clipping it so that it does not exceed the breadth of the box. So I'll push that down, use my workout muscles, fold down, fold down. We take our hands and use the box to make 90% folds so that the leaves are folded in 90% sharp angles. Tap again, and there is your Joong. So what you want to do is to look at your Joong and you have that very first fold. You take and tie. You secure the point and you go on both sides. It's a fast movement. It's a good movement to secure that point. And then you want to take a deep breath. Put it down there and you do an anchor. You take that string and you turn it around. It secures your string from running all over the slippery, and then you do a couple of wraps. You wrap around the long way, putting it down and say, ah, isn't it a pretty Joong? You can use your box, cut, tie, and I have now tied once and I'll slip it through and tie again. The tying is critical for a safe Joong. When we wrap several thousand Joong and a couple hundred Joong go into a pot, you want your leaves to be securely safeguarded, and there's your Joong. Okay, I'm going to stop for a little bit and pause and mention something about eggs. You can buy egg yolks at the market. They're about 75 cents each. And you know, we want to make a lot of Joong. We don't want to pay 75 cents. They're about 10 cents when you brine your own. And what you simply do is you take a gigantic bottle, and everyone has big bottles or big plastic containers. You lay down all the eggs and put it all into your bottle, stacking it all up, nearly filling to the top. There is a gigantic bottle that I use for making black vinegar pig's feet. So I have that vinegar bottle. And actually, about 25 eggs fit right into the eggs. So I placed all the eggs in there. They're all stacked up in here. Then I take a bottle, and I fill it with 1/4 of salt, the rest with water, and I shake it briskly. I pour it into that bottle of eggs. Make another recipe, 1/4 salt, 3/4 water. Shake it up and put it in. So you play a little bit of patient waiting game, and 4 weeks later, you look for the gold. You go in there and you crack your egg, and again, you look for a golden yolk. You notice here, when I have the eggs placed and ready for us, I save some of the egg white. You must bathe your egg yolks in the egg white. If you don't, your eggs will all glom together and you have one gigantic egg yolk. And it's really hard to take apart when you want to make Joong. So you take it, if you're not going to make it, but you crack your eggs, you can actually take it in this container and freeze the eggs, and that would be great. Now, I may have kind of jumped around and may have skipped over the part about the important thing with leaves. The bamboo leaves come in a huge package like this. This is a fabulous package. The leaves are green, they're not broken. However, they're slightly brittle. So what you must do is get it pliant. What you do is you take the leaves and put it into a gigantic, I have a big steamer, I have a big roaster, lay all the leaves down, making it soft and pliant, and then when they're foldable, you simply fill it with water, add a couple of lemons, which it's the most natural and the most aromatic cleaning agent, and you boil it. Just boil that water with the lemon in there. It'll soften up and make wonderful, clean, soft, pliant bamboo leaves. Then you call upon Alvin, my husband, and say, Al, will you please wash out every leaf? So the next morning, Al will take every leaf and you pull it by the knob and he'll wipe with a clean, brand new sponge every leaf. After that's done, he'll pile them big and little and distressed. Then I thank him, but he doesn't eat Joong, but he's happy to do it for me. I'm so lucky to have a leaf wrapper. But the leaves are quite pliant. I would store them in clear water, not lemon water. Anything with a bit of acid will cause your leaf to probably diminish and become too soft. We like a leaf that's going to be stiff, straight on, and very vital for us to wrap. I'm going to do one more wrap because I want to teach the steps again. At the church, we actually wrap close to 4,000 to 5,000 Joong, and they're put into a pot that's nearly like 125 to 200 Joong. So the very first fold is with 2 leaves, and that creates a real good base, so when Joong gets knocked around, the point won't fall apart and you won't have broken Joong. That's when your work is almost like, quote, wasted. So you take 2 leaves and you just simply hold them together. Again, your fold is to fold down and press out. You create a double fold, strong, and you place it away from you, just like this. That's the first fold with 2 leaves. Then you take the second fold, repeating, folding, and away. I just learned that I'm ambidextrous, that I use a lot of my left hand for my strength. So you put this down, and you have the opposing leaf. Then you grab 2 leaves again. These are the shorty guys. Now, someone said, is there a top and a bottom? There's probably that stem and the tail. The tail is virtually harmless. This top part, the stem part, is a part that we watch for and we might cut, and I'll explain that. Again, we lay 2 leaves parallel. We call it the canoe look. I go for my rice again. And then I do my tap, tap, tap to settle the rice. And I'm going to put in, and I don't know if people are wondering, what am I doing with the whites? Putting the whites into your rice, into your Joong, gives it wonderful, severe umami. So I'm ready to go with my goodies, my savories, pork butt. We call it the sweetheart wrap. We put Joong meats on both sides, so you have a sweetheart and the Joong is cut in half. They get all the same meat. I have a large piece of ham, so we have lap chang, pork, and ham on each side, the egg in the middle. So I'm going to tap again to settle the rice. I give you another wrap, another topping. And Joong are boiled for 4.5 hours, and you understand why. The Joong are comprised of all raw. I filled the rice right in the middle of the box, tap, tap, tap. Want to make sure that the rice is settling down all at the top. Put a little bit more in here since I feel real generous today and we have a lot of rice. Then I look at my leaf. I notice that this leaf has fallen down a little bit. You just gingerly pick it up, Make sure that the leaves are high enough to fold over. Tap, tap, tap. Bring my rice together. I'll take, now there's that awful stem that Alvin forgot to cut off. So what I'll do is I'll take a scissor and cut it. You'll cut this so that the length of this stem will not exceed the length of your box. You push that in and use your aerobic strong muscles and you do a fold. You take and fold down, and I have a stem here, these ends. So I have an eyeball because I made a lot of Joongs, and I cut away the excess length of the stem. If you leave that hard stem, it'll be apt to cut into your Joong. So we have a fold here. It's all 90 degrees. Use your hand. We have a 90 degree here, and use your hands, and we have a 90 degree there. And you fold and you say, good luck, Lana. And then you have a perfect Joong. All right? Yay, a wrap. So then we secure, and I find that I'm using my left hand. So what we'll do is I'm going to turn around. How about that if I turn around? So we turn around and we take a look at this Joong, and you secure it on each side of the point. Around and around the mountain we go. So we have both sides secure. Top point, where we go. So we've been holding our breath and we say, how are you doing there, Sharon? And we take a look at a Joong and we say, well, look, admire the Joong. I said, look at it. Pull your string out. And you do a quick roll around, and there's your Joong, tied up, ready to go into the pot. Okay. I'm going to tell a couple of Joong stories. May I? Let's see, I talked about the rice, the meat. I'm going to do just something real quick. Okay. Now that is a big Joong. That's going to satisfy someone good appetite. All right. The meat is basically pork butt. Pork, and you want that fat in there. Cutting it up. The church doesn't marinate, but I marinate mine with salt, a little bit of hang fun, which is the very savory and aromatic. The lap cheng was where I should have started. This is cut into thirds, and I use this as a model to replicate the size of my pork and ham. Okay, a Joong story. For many, many years, I'm happy to say that three of the Fong sisters have chaired the Joong Project, and I started in 2000. 2001, I co-chaired with two lovely gentlemen, Glenn Yee, Howard Louie. Kudos to you guys for working such a great partnership with me. Anyway, along that time, I met a lady who was just so fun. Her name was Ida Hom. And Ida was actually quite older than me. And she's gone now. But we had such great friendship, and our friendship was forged from all the years that she was a Joong volunteer. So along the way, her son and daughter became enamored with Joong. And I keep in contact with lovely Marty, who just remarried. And he got married last year in the middle of the pandemic. He was in Philadelphia. And he said, Auntie Lana, I want to feel like home. So he asked me to make Joong. I made a dozen Joong. And his sister and his cousins carried the Joong to Marty in Philadelphia for his wedding. And they gifted me with this lovely heirloom bow. Another Joong friendship that was forged, which is amazing for me, is a great author and historian who is Philip Choi, who wrote the amazing Canton Footprints. And for every Chinese American who's in Sacramento, they should have a copy of Canton Footprints. But Philip and his family and I became good friends. So we visited them over a space of 13 years. So one year we had 3 generations of Chois. And Philip, his sister, who was 92, their children, their grandchildren, all came. Their daughter, Stephanie, is a fantastic artisan. She created a cloth Joong. I call it a sculpture. And what this does is it really helps someone learn how to wrap Joong. But it's a beautiful piece of sculpture. These are my products of Joong making and my friends. But the other one, of course, is all the friendships that we have from over 50 years, close to 70 years of Joong making. We are a lucky congregation to have many wonderful volunteers from the community. A couple years ago when we had, I think about 5,000 Joong made, we enlisted a lot of young people. And a lovely young woman who came from Kennedy High School she wanted to be here, Lonnie. Lonnie Che wanted to learn Joong. She is a fabulous folder. So if the Fongs, if the church, if all of you love the legacy of making Joong and the friendships that come with it, I'm just honored to be able to do this and to share this with you today. Okay, we're going to take a pause and we're going to see if there's anyone who would like to come up and practice what I hope I've taught you. Do I have a volunteer? Any volunteers? Any volunteers? All right. Okay, we're going to do a side-by-side.
All
Okay,
right.
you can actually use your hands if you want to just dip in here and just put in there. I know there is a constant use of gloves. What's really tough is that when you use string, Janelle.
Yes.
Janelle, Calvin has a daughter, Janelle, and such a small world. So when you have string, you want to be able to use your fingers to roll the string. Okay, we're going to do a side-by-side. I am going to give a set of scissors, and we're going to pick up a couple of them. I'm going to grab another towel so we don't have to sweep up all. And it's important to have a towel under your Joong box. And again, the Joong box, there is that little hole into which we'll place the leaves. So grab 2 big leaves, and we're going to fold them. It's kind of like making sure these 2 leaves are the critical start of a good Joong. So you take, let's do double. And what we're going to do is make it side by side. Top or bottom. Okay, you fold. Good hands. And you use your thumb, and use that finger outside, middle finger, to fold away. There you go. And you create a concave, and you lay it down into your hole. Good. Okay. Going to create one little thing, Janelle. Janelle's fold is great. When you make this fold it back and give this space a little bit more. That was a perfect one. Then you place it right into the hole. Okay, grab another leaf and create the same fold, putting it up, folding, use your thumb, and folding it away. Now, that's me. And you might find that you can get the same fold another way. And someone said, let me fold it this way. And I said, well, whatever way that gets you there. You have this concaveness, and you're going to lay it opposing, opposite. Exactly, opposite. There you go. On the left, grab me 2 leaves, and you can grab 2 leaves too. Great. So these are for the side walls. There's tops and there's bottoms. There's flailing, and it's okay. You simply lay one, and you lay the opposing side. Someone feels that there is strength in that number and the way that is laid. It's like laying a canoe. Perfect, perfect. So you're going to put a cup of rice right in the middle, and you hear it smash. There you go. And she taps it down. Now I'm going to do the same. I'm going to hear the leaf crash. I'm going to put a little bit more into Janelle's. Okay. So what happens is the leaf naturally does kind of a canoe thing. It lays over. When you first put the leaves down and you hit the leaves, it lays over like a canoe. So we have this look, and we look on the top, and we look on the side. We have no gaps. There we go. And the goodies come, and since you're so neat and I have my hands filled with egg yolk, I'm gonna give her an egg yolk and put it at the tip, at the bottom of the Joong point. Ah, all the whites. Okay, we're gonna tap, tap, and we're gonna grab 2 pieces of pork. I'm gonna make a sweetheart Joong, put one on each end, 2 pieces of lap chang. Since we have more, I'm gonna put 3 pieces. And a piece of ham. Tap, tap. And then we're going to fill the cavity of the, on top. Good, good. Fill them. Put your rice in the middle and let it settle there, Janelle. Right in the middle of the box. One more. Most of us at the church tend to make big Joong because we are rice eaters. We love rice. So Lana's going to take hers, and some people like a lot of legumes, a lot of the beans. And the legumes come because normai, sticky rice, is hard on the digestion. And Auntie Nancy, my cousin Lois's mom, would make Joong. I'm going to have you fill a bit more rice to the edge. And sticky rice is hard on the digestion. We say fa. It means it's hard on your digestion. It's hard to digest. She would not have but 1/2 Joong. Now look at what Janelle did. She did a long Joong. So you're going to take your leaves and settle it down. We want the rice to be settled into the box and not too far. Good, using your hands. Okay, then we take a closer leaf. And I'll get one for you. I'll do a shorty. And so the steps are this. We kind of eyeball what we have. I have a hard knob. I'm going to cut that off. You have a soft one, and you have a hard one. I'm going to do the favor for you. And just getting rid of the harder edges of that knob side, we tap, tap, and then we put our hand up. Or you lift it right-handed?
Right-handed.
Oh, good. Okay, press down. Now, we're going to use the leaves and use the box. You're going to use the box to create the 90-degree fold. You're going to use your hands this way and close it down together. Use your hands. Perfect. Now, holding that, you're going to grab and take 90 degrees here and 90 degrees here. Right. Okay, going to hang on for me for a minute. Let me see if I came up with a good point. I think I have a smaller Joong. A smaller Joong, but centered. And I'm going to wrap this. I'm going to have you wait, and I'm going to show you the wrap. So you're going to go from the point, around the mountain, and again, and then you're going to put the Joong down. Okay, so your string is ready for you. Okay, you're going to use your hand. So you're going to wrap with your right. See, I wrap with my left. No, whatever you can do. Okay? Ah, beautiful, Joong. Yay! Bravo. Okay, so this is the point you want to secure. Now, this is your holding hand. Now you're going to use your little holding hand, and you're going to do a little anchor thing with your finger to anchor that string. Now you're going to go around the corner. Go around the corner. Yeah. And around the corner. And go around on the other side. Right, and guide it back this way. Perfect. I'm going to have you go over here again. We have angles. Perfect. Okay, hang on for 1 second. Now, I'm going to go to this point again, securing the point, and I'm going to go here. Perfect. See how tight? Very strong Joong. So you're going to put it down. This is where you had your starting leaf, and you're with me. So what we're going to do is take this. You want to anchor, which means you take the leading string where you led and turn it around turn it around, and you pull that anchor. Perfect. Then you pick up your Joong. Yeah. Good. And you're going to take the length that's long and look at your Joong this way. And you're going to go the long way around. Around the mountain we go. And there's your Joong. Yay. All right, Janelle, good hands. So you've wrapped your first Joong. I love it. All right. We're going to take questions if there were any questions from the in-person audience. Any questions? I see a question there. Someone's going to speak up a little bit for me.
Now, when you have the bamboo leaves cleaned, if they split, what do you do with the leaf?
I can't hear, I'm sorry.
With the bamboo leaves, if there's a split in the leaf, a tear in the leaf,
Uh-huh.
what do you do with it?
I would cut that in half and use it for the closer. So if you have what the question was, so if you have a distressed leaf, I would take that and not let it be used for any of the side wraps. I would cut that in half immediately. It can be used as the closer. And then just preparing again the length. So these, and one of my favorite cookbooks is Every Grain of Rice, where you never waste, Alan Blonder, you never waste a grain of rice. So we have Joong, and we're going to cut this off. I'm going to secure it one more time. Janelle, you're a good student. Good hands. Look at that. That's a big Joong. So what I'm going to do is make sure the secure. So we're going to do it one more time. And then what we need to do is, because these Joong are all put into a communal pot and they kind of bang against each other, they don't want us to do what we call, you know, when you learn how to tie your shoe, you don't want to do a rabbit ear. So that when you secure and you do a rabbit ear anyway, just cut it off.
Okay.
How's that for Janelle? All right, good job. Okay. Yeah, these are aesthetically not pretty, so you cut off the tails. And there's a little stem there. Now, you're going to take this home and boil this. That's your Joong. All right.
That'll be my lunch.
Boil it for 4 hours, and because they're such a great partner, you must have a friend. So you get one of mine. How's that? This is for the strength of someone who is a courageous volunteer. You have 2 Joong. 4.5 hours. Keep it all covered.
Okay.
All right, you have a meal.
Thank you.
All right. Now, where can I get the box? Well, the box is owned by the Chinese Community Church, but I'll also tell you there have been many people who've made boxes and may be willing to sell. I have a cousin in San Mateo whose husband makes boxes. I have a couple of boxes, and if you wanted to buy a box, I would sell you a box for $20 that you make the check out to the ACC. So if you're interested, I have about 10 boxes. I will sell them on behalf to benefit the ACC for $20 each, and that's really a deal. Okay? Thank you. I'm going to make another Joong because I have more meat left. So we're going to do the steps again. Thin leaves, big leaves. Now the leaves, someone I'm surprised didn't ask. I'm going to do a double. The leaves count about 120 leaves in a bag. So divided by 5, it's about 25 Joong per package of leaves. Making us ask the next question, which is probably how many pounds of rice do you need? For about 1 bag of leaves, I would do a 5-pound bag of rice. This is a little distressed, Lois, and I wouldn't use it. So you want 2 good leaves that lay on the side, opposing side. We call this the canoe effect. We make sure it's together, and we're going to wrap. Put a little bit more on the bottom. Tap, tap. There are other legumes that you could use. Some people like peanuts, even looking for alternatives to meat, I have made some out of using mushroom. I have also used hot mai, dried shrimp. I have another great story in that we traveled to Georgia to visit a wonderful friend by the name of Edward Chin. And down by the Delta or down by Georgia, shrimp are a dime a dozen. So he had shrimp the size of my fingers. So he dried them into hot mai, and we made a pile of Joong with his shrimp and Smithfield ham. And it was just extraordinary. One of the great travel Joong making times that I've had. Now, in terms of legumes, some people like a lot of the mung beans, and they actually create an entire layer of mung beans. The flavor is a bit like, I think, like chia. It's got a nutty taste to it, a wonderful aspect. When we made Joong for Philip's sister, Dorothy, who was 93, she said, I'm 93 and I deserve 2 egg yolks. She had 2 egg yolks in her Joong. And so we do the fold, 9 degrees, tap, tap for good luck. And we flip that box out, and there's your perfect point. So Joong are a way of kind of expanding your life, your family legacy. You could actually, I have done actually Joong using corned beef. And that's pretty extraordinary. Something that's salty, something that's briny, that's great. And so here you are. A double wrap to admire your Joong. I love to wrap Joong. And I have good friends that I've invited. I have friends who love to wrap Joong as much as I do. And I said, well, just call me. I'll come over and make Joong with you or wrap Joong with you. So all the years that the Chinese Community Church has created this project, this fundraiser, there is a way of sharing our legacy, our culture. We should be proud of all of that. And it's great. I love a good Joong. Any more questions from afar? Yeah?
I have a question.
Yes.
My second question is, Mom used to tie it differently if she had 1 egg yolk or no egg yolks in it. Do you do that as well? Distinguish the type of ingredients
Yes.
just by the
And what
type?
I do, and I have some string, you know how you use different colored string or even the green, when you go to the market, you tie your groceries with that little metal thing. You can just simply take this and tie a red ribbon. Distinguishing, Lois's sister Marion does not like black-eyed peas, and I made her some special ones, so I actually tied up 2 little things to distinguish hers. So when you make your own Joong, you can create your own palette of whatever you love. My Al does not like eggs or ham or anything else, and I have one more thing, so I'm going to wrap one for him. I'm going to wrap up one for Al that's filled with lap chang, honey. And you basically can create anything that you want. You have a point, you lay it down into the hole. I try to keep myself moving along, and it's a real good way. I think of my mother wrapping Joong all these years for all of us when we were growing up, and there were 11 children, and I don't doubt that she had to get up really, really early to wash these Joong leaves. This is an interesting pattern. This is actually a little snake that went through the whole thing, but it's been washed. But I actually have taken Joong Yep and kind of laid them around them and created a pretty pattern. So for my husband, who does all of my leaf washing, he gets a special Joong, no eggs, filled with lap chang. Dear Al. Okay, this is what happens when you have a great partner and you have fun making this, but it comes with a little umami. I'm going to put a little bit of this. No eggs, honey. Just a little bit of the whites. Also, if you are a soup maker, the whites, if you add to make egg flour soups, they're the best flavor. So Al's not much for rice. He's mostly about meat. So I'm going to flatten and make this a shorter little Joong. You can kind of underfill the box, place your closer leaf in there, and make kind of a smaller Joong for someone like Al who doesn't like a lot of rice, but likes his lapchang. He's going to love this. I'll do a cutaway on the stem side. And I'll flatten. This is going to be a shorter Joong because it's for Al. It's mostly meat. And tap, tap. And somewhere I'll find that string, Lois. This is the point that you're looking for. And here we go. It's always fun to wrap Joong. The Latinos make tamales. And the one thing that I made with my friend and my cousin in San Mateo, her boyfriend loved Joong. So in San Mateo, they wanted to use a duck leg, which is bony. So instead of throwing away the bone, we took the leg and we buried it into a Joong. It's like the Spanish doing la muñeca. So when you do a holiday cake, you put a little doll and you bake it in there. Well, Allison's boyfriend opened his Joong and he found the duck leg. It was fun. It was great. Okay, Al, here's your special Joong. All right. Yay. Okay. Anyone else want to wrap a Joong? Okay, any more questions that we have? Donnie, any questions? Do you love Joong? I'm going to show you something that I bought in. My sister Christine is very much of a whole cookie personality too, meaning that we all like to know what's going on and what's happening. So what I have here is a couple of cooked Joong. Let me go rinse my hand off. And again, we have water and we have natural cleaning with lemon. I'll wash my hand. And what I have are a couple of Joong. And we have these amazing volunteers with the ACC. So what I'm going to do is share the Joong, cut it open for you, and you can see, you may have wrapped a Joong, but I want to see what the finished product looks like. So what I have, and you have a red ribbon one, Lois. So we have a red ribbon one. This could be one of Lana's favorites, which means that either has no egg or it has a terrific amount of meat. So these have been frozen from Lana's freezer. So I took this one out and in boiling water, reheated the Joong. And we're going to cut it open to show you a finished Joong. And it's got an egg, so it's got a lot of meat. So this is your finished Joong with a lovely point. And what I have are scissors, but I also have a plastic knife. So what I'm going to do is to cut it open. And this is your cooked Joong. Sticky rice. And reveal the luscious feeling of lapchang, ham, and eggs. So this is for you kids to have. And I have another one here. And what I have is probably egg yolk. Not egg yolk, but egg white. I have friends who don't like the egg yolk. So I often use that red string to distinguish. Sometimes you can get yourself a little confused because if you use too many colors, you can't remember what the color stood for. So you need a good legend and a new key. So I'm cutting this Joong open for you lovely people at the ACC so you can enjoy a cooked Joong from Lana, from Lana's Kitchen. Yes? All right? Sorry again?
How long do you boil it for?
Boil it for 4.5 hours.
To reheat it if you freeze
And
it.
then if you reheat it and it's frozen, From the freezer, it's at least 35 minutes. Do not microwave. Microwave does something terrible, awful to glutinous rice. But I have a cousin in San Francisco who's Dr. Michael, and I send him Joong in San Francisco. And he says, well, Lana, I only have a microwave. So what he does is he defrosts his Joong, and then he puts it in a microwave, and it comes out, he says, perfect. But of course, for my palate, I love the softness, and you don't get this microwaving. And this is another Joong for you folks to enjoy. Okay? All right. Any other questions that we need today? All right.
Question, is she selling the ones that she's wrapped today?
Pardon?
Are you selling the ones that you wrapped today?
I'm actually going to, I can't sell those 3, but the 4 today, I only have 4. I don't know if I can sell, but I think what I would like to do is to pull a couple good names out of the bag and see if anybody would like to take a Joong home or choose to have a box. So boxes, if my cousin makes them, and he makes them for me as a favor because I do Joong making with his wife. So we could sell the Joong boxes for $20, and it would be to subsidize and support the ACC. And if we have our wonderful attendees today, I'm going to pull a couple of names out of a bag. And what I would like to do is to offer a chance for either a Joong or a box. Somewhere I have names. Okay. So, no, I'm not going to sell, but then here is the Joongs for you folks for lunch. And I wanted to pull a name, and I have names put somewhere. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and randomly find my names that I've written out, and we'll do that as we close, okay? I hope that answers questions. Donnie, anything else?
It answered all the questions. So I hope you mean when it's for you folks that this is just for me, right?
This
Because I did the intro.
absolutely.
So out of all of the staff,
Absolutely,
I should get it, right?
yes, indeed,
Okay.
indeed. I bought forks also, and
Thank
chopsticks.
you. I was really hoping you had some cooked ones today for the demo because it smelled so good when you were setting up.
It's my joy to share.
Well, I just wanted to thank you for coming to ACC. We're so lucky to have you.
Well, I'm so glad to share this with everyone. I think Joong making is such a wonderful way of forging great friendships, and I have generations and years. So I'm made wonderful friendships with many families.
Absolutely.
And we may cut a deal. Maybe I can offer my services and subsidize the ACC as well as the Chinese Community Church, since we're on a close down right now.
Absolutely. Oh, that was so generous of you to offer the donations to us. Thank you, Lana. Thank you so
you're welcome.
much.
You're welcome.